Welcome to the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts. I'm the author of It's Deeper Than That and the founder of The Great Reconnection. Thank you for being here today. I am so excited and thrilled to have Sharon Fitzmaurice all the way from Ireland here with us today. I was on her podcast and asked her if she'd come be on mine, and I'm so excited that you're here, Sharon.
Thank you, Suzanne. It's a pleasure to reconnect with you again across this beautiful technological age, but more so to your beautiful soul and who you are, because it was just a joy to have you on my podcast.
Thank you. And it was a joy to be on yours. I would love for my listeners to hear your evolution towards your own awakening and what you're passionate about now.
Thank you. I suppose my journey to where I am now, I'm still awakening my full potential, as I believe we all are. It came from a lot of trauma in my life and a lot of pain. And again, many people will have experienced that in their own life, and they'll say, well, I'm still not where you are yet, Sharon, but where is, there or here? Because I think we're ever changing and ever evolving, and every shared conversation, every experience, everything we learn in our life is adding to our evolution, to our soul experiencing this world through this human body that is Sharon. And my passion is to help others awaken their potential, their full potential, to empower them with knowledge and awareness of who they are, how their energy works, how the mind can sometimes play games with them with the old programming, and how our body, our cellular memory holds a lot of trauma that we're sometimes not even consciously aware of. And I know that because I'm trauma informed from my own lived experience and from working with others. So when I meet with anybody in my client work, I give them an insight into what is going on for them right now on all levels. And they're usually amazed because they'll go, I never knew any of this. Why didn't I know this before? And again, it comes back to awareness that we don't know something until we learn about it. And sometimes we have to learn about it through an experience that has brought us to somebody that can support us. It's not something we ever go out and look for purposely. A lot of people that are looking for support and healing do it because of something they have experienced painfully in their lives. Or I will get many people that are very curious. They're in my online community and they just want to learn things. They're really excited and they're like, oh, I want to learn all about this. Teach me everything. So my passion is working with people. My passion is to be the best person I can be for myself today and others. That's not always perfect. That's showing up as me. I'm still learning, Suzanne. And as I said, one of the ways I love to learn is by listening to other people like you, like the other guests I've had on, and where their journey has brought them, and just being inspired by the resilience of the human spirit and how amazing we all are.
I have a couple of questions. I'll say them and then you can pick and choose what order you want to answer them in.
Yes.
One is, when did you always know that you were experiencing some kind of trauma, or what was the point of which the trauma was causing more suffering for you that caused you to have an awakening? That's one question. The other question is, you said you help your clients have insight, and I want to know what that insight is, but you can pick which one you want to answer.
Thank you. So no, when I was a child, I didn't know what the word trauma was. I didn't have the emotional intelligence to understand what I was experiencing. I knew it as fear. I knew it as being hurt. I knew it as sadness. I felt a deep sense of loss within myself as a child, like I was witnessing or experiencing myself as a child. I didn't realize it was on a soul level. I was experiencing the human child lost in a world where she didn't feel safe and protected.
Mm,
But there was some part of me, and I see this now as an adult, but there was some part of me as a child that knew there was something more, more than just this experience. And I could feel energy. I could feel the strength of energy. I
mm,
didn't realize it was my own energy. I thought it was something outside of myself. I
mm.
used to put my hand into the air and grab it and make it smaller because sometimes it was too powerful for me. So, with all of these experiences, as I became a teenager and a young adult, I realized what I was experiencing on a human level wasn't the normal,
Mm.
a way a child should be brought up or experience the world. But I also realized that what I was experiencing, seeing and hearing and feeling wasn't the norm either. So I was like, where do I actually fit in?
Wait, so you
How
would
am I
say
going to?
your ability to feel energy wasn't the norm, and it wasn't the
Yes,
norm to be treated bad. Is that what you're
yes,
saying? Like, and you're like
yes,
looking at both of them, going, "Who am I and what am
yeah.
I?"
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So I felt like when it came to maybe as I call it, the dark night of my soul, it was really the dark night of my human experience where I didn't want to be in the physical anymore and I wanted to escape the pain. It wasn't necessarily, wanting to end my life, but I wanted to end the life that I had been living because it didn't feel true. It didn't feel right. I felt like I was so disconnected from everything. And that is when I absolutely connected on the deepest level to my soul. And I felt it say, this is not the end of your story. This is the
Mm.
beginning. This is the beginning. And not understanding all of that in that moment, it was like I was reborn into my life with a different learning ability to take it step by step, day by day, hour by hour, week by week, to say, how do I want to show up in my life now? How do I choose today to react or respond to those, excuse me, old triggers or pains? So I used to sit with myself, Suzanne, and I used to sit and imagine I was going into the energy of my body and I was finding all of the places that the pain and the loss and the hurt was stored within my physical body. So I thought, if I want to feel safe within my body, I have to go in and be present with this pain and hurt.
I love
I have to not fear it and run away from it. I have to be present with it and hold space for it. And when I could do that, I started opening up and
that.
saying, well, if I
Mm.
can allow space for the pain and the hurt, could I not allow space for love
Mm.
and even more love? And when I started doing that, I started feeling myself being present more in the world. Like I wasn't just an invisible shadow, you know, going around avoiding, putting on a mask. I actually was starting to show up and I was seeing like I was shining through my body. And I really
Mm.
felt like, that this body, I was only a little small, tiny little thing in my 20s, but I felt like I was 6 foot tall. And I actually stood beside a really tall man one day. And he was talking about, I couldn't see over the crowd. And he said to me, but you're not that small, Sharon. And I said, I'm only 5'2". And he said, I thought you were about 5'8". And in my head, I went, that's because my energy is so expansive compared to the physical body. And people started feeling it. And again, if we just come back to the physical, people would say, oh, I thought you were taller than that, Sharon. And that's my energy because it started to expand
Mm.
and it started to get stronger and courageous. And when I started doing that, it started going out further and further. And then I was getting all of these wonderful experiences and opportunities, finding the right book at that time, and then experiencing learning opportunities where I realized, oh, look how much you've actually evolved and grown. If that happened to you a few years ago, you would have crumbled and hid. Now you're facing it and you're saying, okay, what is this teaching me now? What have I got to learn from this? And I thought everything to me felt like an opportunity, Suzanne. So have I evolved from the trauma? Yes, but I also use the trauma, as I said, to be more informed and in helping on other people and my clients now understand that we can recover, we can heal, and there is much more to us than just the trauma in the physical. And yeah, because I feel the energy so strongly when I'm working with people, I feel like it's a soul to soul connection on a
Mm.
deep level than we
Yes.
can sometimes have on the human level.
Mhm. I just want to take a moment here because you said a lot of really meaningful and purposeful things. And I'd like to touch back on a couple of them because when you were talking about the way traumas get stored in the cellular memory, they also get stored because when people are experiencing the trauma, it's an isolation inside of them. And
Mhm.
it sounds to me when I'm listening to you, as you started connecting with the life energy or your soul currency inside of you, and you gave that as a home for the trauma to come home to, that it doesn't have to be living in isolation anymore or separate.
Mhm.
It's the
Yes.
separateness that is what causes, I think, a lot of the pain. But then when you're the witness and you're the observer and you're also the holder of basically light and love in a certain kind of way, you
Mhm.
can, whether you could say you're welcoming those parts home, but they have a home now, a safe home to be
Yes.
in. When the physical world wasn't safe in that experience, there's an internal safe haven within for
Mhm.
the trauma to find a way. And then that creates what you call space, and then more light can
Mhm.
shine through. Right.
Mhm.
And to me,
Yeah.
that is so powerful. And I hope that produces great hope for our listeners. And
Mhm.
I also love that the the magnitude as you got more attuned, I call it the life force or the soul or this the innate energy within us that gives us life, that it is magnetic. And the
Mhm.
magnetic resonance of it was experienced by others outside of you. And
Yeah.
I love that. And
Mhm.
and I also love that you understand that every opportunity you face because of what you've learned from your trauma is an evolutionary opportunity, not
Mhm.
a setback, not something meant to harm you, but something to help give you greater life. Am I hearing that
Yeah.
right?
You absolutely are. I think you said it more eloquently than I did. But again, it's the feeling I have. And I can still go back to the feeling of experiencing that fully for the first time. When I allowed that energy to expand, I felt like
Mm,
I was connected to everything. And it was like everything stopped. And in a moment, I was just part of everything and there was no separation. And that was the most powerful feeling.
mm,
'Cause there and then I knew I was connected to everything. I knew that this human experience of trauma had me isolated, feeling alone, separate. And I realized I wasn't that. And it was like I was bringing
mm,
that part of me, the trauma affected part, out into the light to say, look, this is what you can experience too, even because of your trauma. It has almost heightened your awareness when you allowed it to be seen, when you allowed it to be felt. It was like, if you could experience that, imagine what else you can experience.
it's a practical way to have hope for a
Yes,
truer reality.
yes, absolutely.
For people that don't necessarily have that conscious awareness of energy like you did, what do you think
Mm.
are some ways to invite them into that possibility?
I just had a client before this podcast, Suzanne, and for me to feel his soul energy, you know, that he couldn't feel or
Mm.
be consciously aware of it. And when I explained it in a very simplistic way, and I said, every day we're breathing, every day we're sitting and walking and sleeping in this body, every day we're connecting with our thoughts and our emotions. And it just becomes this, hamster wheel of things that we're not even aware we're doing. I said, what about if you just came back to your breath? What about if you just came back to the breath and witnessed it moving in and out of this physical body? Is that not a miracle in itself? Seeing the
Mm.
physical body moving and responding to the breath. Witness that miracle. And then when all of that, and you go, wow, I've never actually stopped to listen to my breath or to witness it or to really watch the body in this calm place of safety within my body, within my breath. How does that feel for me? And in that moment of feeling, they're connecting in with their soul energy. And I said, what does that feel like? And he said, safe. He
Mm.
said, I've never felt safe before.
I love that. I appreciate you saying that there's a way to experience safety in our own inner sanctuary. And our breath
Yeah.
is a miracle. We don't generate it, right? Our soul
Mhm.
is a current of energy that animates the physical form and actually activates the heart to beat and gives us
Mhm.
breath. We don't generate it. And the gratitude and the humility of just observing the miracle of breath, that it
Mhm.
can just bring you to the inner sanctuary of safety and holiness inside that's always there, right?
Yeah. Because everybody wants all of these outward things and they're looking and grabbing at everything. And I always say, come back, keep everything simple, come back to you and just start with the breath. So when they start, because it can be, your listeners, if there's people out there that have experienced trauma or they are going through quite a lot, they might find it hard, to even process everything that they need to do. So I cut away all the need and I say, just sit and witness,
Mm.
witness yourself. Witness the breath and then witness the body. Witness the emotion within your body where it's held. And sometimes I'll give them a visual, like imagine what that emotion is in the body. What does it look like, big or small? What color is it? Can you breathe into it safely? Does it feel safe to breathe into that emotion? Not even
Mm.
knowing what it's connected to, but
Thank
learning
you.
simple steps to connect to yourself, to the body, to the breath, to the awareness. And if you can do those few things every day for a few minutes, imagine then expanding on that practice and going deeper and saying, what else is there? What
Hmm.
else is within me? And one of the things I used to love to do, Suzanne, when I started working, deeper with energy, was I used to go into our energy system and I used to go in and travel like beautiful tunnels into each of our chakras. And I would go on the most amazing adventures through each of my chakras. And it would bring me to the things that I had held there, the things that, I hadn't faced, the things that were hidden and repressed. But it also brought me to this spaciousness, this awareness of things that were beyond what I had learned, in my life up to that point. And I used to say the universe is living and breathing within me.
Yes. When I'm listening to you and experiencing you here, you're not using these words. I'm feeling such kindness from you. And how did you learn to become kind to yourself that you are now so kind to others?
Oh, do you know what that makes me? My heart is just, and I've just felt this rush of emotion. The one thing I would offer everyone freely. And I think everyone, I can't understand why people can't offer it freely, is kindness. I think to be kind is our most beautiful gift to each other. And that could be a smile, it can be eye contact. You know, you might not have the words, you might not have the solutions for everybody, but a hand on their shoulder and just letting them know you're there. There's so many ways we can show kindness. For me, it was going back to as that 20-something-year-old and going back to the child self and sitting with her and just being kind to her
But what
and
made
telling
you kind to her?
because she didn't feel loved or protected
Mm,
or safe. And I wanted her to feel
mm,
all of those things. So I couldn't fully experience it as an adult until I allowed my child self to feel those things because she didn't fully understand or she didn't believe. Because if somebody was kind, it usually was a threat.
right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. I think so much of the time, what stops people doing the work is they get confused about that. That you have to
Mhm.
unpack how kindness was once dangerous and be able to discern when kindness is actually safe. And even inside ourselves, like if we're
Yeah.
being kind to a part of ourselves and that part is skeptical or something, stay there long enough for it to learn to trust you. And
Yes.
sometimes people skip out if they see like a, like, I don't trust you yet. And they're like,
Mhm.
Yeah, danger, danger." Like people
Yeah.
jump out
Yeah.
really fast instead of going, no, there's a part of you that, your soul currency has the capacity and strength to say, even if they don't trust inside you, and to you show them what there is to trust. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you did. And I really want our listeners to hear you really wanted that part of you to
Yeah.
feel
So
something
much.
different than the trauma. And please, everyone, listen to that. Want that for those parts of
Mhm.
you too, because I believe that helped you generate that kind of kindness and safety. I love
Mhm.
that so much. It's so beautiful.
Thank you, Suzanne. So I suppose even just you even saying it, it was me sitting here, receiving that from you. But it was the child within me that was smiling out of
Oh,
my heart. She was smiling, and it felt quite emotional because I feel her strength, because she was the one that got me through all of the trauma
yes.
and survived everything. I, as the adult, created the stories and patterns and the victim mentality around it. And my little child self was waiting for the adult to show up and say, well, when is it safe to come out, though?
Yes.
When can I show up? When is it safe for me to show my face and be me without threat? I had to go back inside of myself and sit with her and say, I'm going to sit here until you trust me, until you feel safe. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to visit every single day. I'm going to bring you to lovely, fun places and see the world as a safe and kind place for you to grow now. You don't have to hide away any longer.
I love that so much. And I just, when you talk, I feel it from you. One of
Mhm.
the things I said in setting the intention is I wanted our listeners to feel and experience you, to hear your words, but you emanate such beautiful strength and love and kindness and hope in a really grounded and practical way. It's very powerful and very beautiful.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. That is so kind of you. And kind of you. There's your kindness.
Yes, I'm not always that kind, but I am very compassionate. No.
Yeah. And I think there is a difference, we can be compassionate towards others. And I always say, when you're compassionate, you can hold that space for people, whatever they're feeling. But kindness is just being present.
Yeah, I am
It's
that.
just being present. You are.
Yeah.
And I feel that kindness, you know, just by sitting under a tree or, my dog walking up
Mm,
beside me. I can feel kindness in the world. I can also feel the chaos of it. But I always say I'm walking along this road. I can see myself on the road. I can see it clear. It doesn't matter where I'm going, that doesn't matter. And on the left, I see all of the love that I have in my life. And on the right, I see what we would call as fear or worry or challenges and things that may feel heavy at times. But nothing can walk on my path unless I invite it in. So I invite in
Mm.
love always. And at times I may invite in the fear and worry, but I realize it's only fleeting. It's like a traveler on the road. You greet them, meet them, but they're not in your life all the time. They're just somebody that's walking alongside you for a short while, but that you don't carry them on your back and bring them home with you. But with the love, even with people that we have or had in our lives, they're only walking alongside us as well for a short space
Yeah.
of time. At the end, we are on that journey and we make those choices and we make the choice to take different directions, to get off the road, to take the wrong road sometimes. And sometimes the wrong road is amazing because you never know who you're going to meet or what's around the corner. So instead of fearing it, I kind of open up with excitement and go, I wonder what's around the corner.
I love having the certainty of knowing oneself as they walk and then having agency.
Yeah.
We are going to have to begin to wind down today. I just feel like we could go on for a very long
Mm.
time. Uh, I always ask my guests, what do you think the purpose for life is?
I believe we have many purposes at different stages in our lives. I think my soul is showing me that it wants to experience as much as possible, to expand that energy out so other people or I can support them while they're walking their road. The one word I would use is to empower others along my journey as I've been empowered. Not that my knowledge and wisdom is greater than anybody else's, but as I said, I can only share from my own experiences what has helped me. But just as you said, just being kind, maybe that is the walking partner
Mhm.
that somebody one day or has been in the past that said that day helped me to see the world differently.
Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can contact me through my website, sharonfitzmauricemindfulness.com, or I'm on Instagram, Sharon Fitzmaurice, LinkedIn, Facebook, and of course my podcast, the Sharon Fitzmaurice podcast, where you'll hear Suzanne as my guest, and a wonderful conversation it was.
Thank you so, so much. It has been an absolute pleasure having you here today. I feel deeper and more vibrant and more powerful in a really beautiful way
Oh,
being in this conversation with you. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for being with us, listeners. This is the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of The Great Reconnection. Subscribe and keep listening, and we're so happy to have you here today. Thank you.